Okay. So, how do you prioritize then between all these 10 initiatives?
So that gets done, I think, internally by the various teams and the leadership. But the way HTNG works is they take all of these problems and they look at what is the best way to solve them and what's the best way to address the issues. And they do this in a number of different ways. I always call the work groups, which is one of the channels to solve the problems, actual work groups. And these, sometimes technical standards come out of them, sometimes guidelines come out of them, and sometimes it's for education because the hospitality industry needs to be brought up to speed on an emerging technology. But the work groups I like to call the lifeline of HTNG because really, when you get the hoteliers and the vendors working together and the consultant communities working together on solving the problems, it's effective. So that is really kind of the most common way that HTNG addresses this with a formal charter and a formal work group with objectives and timelines and timeframes to get through. And some of these problems we'll never actually solve, but we'll find a way to address them that's most efficient and we'll stay on top of it. The other thing is, sometimes it merits education, like I mentioned. So there's webinars, seminars, bringing people in from outside industries that may or may not be adjacent to learn more about the technology and how to solve the problem. So there are a couple different ways to do it. We also have what we call communities of interest around certain topics, but we also have, because it's a global organization, HTNG, even though it's owned by HNLA, which focuses on the US, there are communities of interest in APAC and there's a community of interest in EMEA because we need to make sure that we're recognizing the needs of hospitality globally because all of the hotel brands, for the most part, are global.
Yeah.
And there are different requirements and standards and legislation around all those problem statements between APAC and EMEA and the Middle East and the US. So that's really how things get worked. And what'll come out of all of the work we're doing on these problem statements is work groups, webinars, white papers, and you'll start hearing more about those.